driving between Annapolis and Norfolk. As I mentioned last night on the stream, Hoser Miller and I are going aboard the USS Harry S. Truman tomorrow for a day or two. Be recording a bunch of different episodes there. So in the meantime, I thought I'd try out this live stream on the phone thing, which I've never done before. So yeah, I'm on, what is this, Route 17, just south of Tappahannock. It's actually a pretty nice drive. I like to stay off of 95 if I can. And if we're going between Annapolis and Virginia Beach, then we'll go Eastern Shore. But I'm going to North, so I'm going the 301 to 17 route, which is great. But I thought I'd take the time to experiment with this live stream functionality here. So I can see the comments coming up here on task sharing between driving and, again, I'm trained for this. Keep my scan going. Government trained. So let's talk about a little more than or what's become known since we did the live stream late last night. So a couple of amazing things have come to light. On the goods side, using the Top Gun goods and others, on the goods side, the fact that Iran shot 300 weapons, and it breaks down to 170 drones, 30 cruise missiles, and 100 ballistic missiles. So roughly 90% of those were intercepted in one form or another. No loss of life. I believe I heard that a 10-year-old girl was hit by shrapnel after one of the missiles was intercepted. Those things don't evaporate. When you hit them, the pieces do fall to earth. But that stat, in the face of a gigantic amount of weapons inbound, is pretty amazing. So that's a success story. Now, I think what allows that to be so is one thing that we pointed out last night, which is this was not a everything arrives on time attack. It was not a coordinated, overwhelming attack. It was a multi-phase attack where the ballistic missiles got there first in the first wave, and then the drones were kind of ambling from two axes. So last night, I brought the map up, and we were talking what was the route of flight of the weapons between Iran and Israel. So we're thinking, okay, if you go out of northern Iran, you could cross Iraq and Jordan, maybe Syria, and get to Israel that way. But the Houthis were also participating, and so a bunch of weapons, drones, came out of Yemen. And so, by and large, those were taken down. The digital architecture of the defense network is what makes this possible. So, if you have a computer-based system that allows you to assign directions, altitudes, airspeeds to various nodes, including your allies who are participating, and what we found out since last night is it wasn't just US, it was also UK and France were knocking down drones outside of Israel as well. So very much a coalition effort here. But those systems can plug into the central architecture in a very seamless way. So I was talking to my dad this morning about this, and if you have paid attention to the channel for very long, my dad was a a Marine attack pilot who fought in Vietnam, and then later in the 70s was the CO of an A6 squadron. So he worked with ground elements to provide, local air superiority and make sure that in the absence of fighter cover that they had some surface-to-air missile support during missions. His greatest fear was not that he'd get shot down by the enemy, but that he'd get shot down by his own guys inadvertently. So with this kind of digital architecture, you can all but eliminate blue-on-blue potential, because remember last night, as we surmised, there were fixed-wing assets in the mix as well. And so this is really a miracle and a marvel of modern warfare. So that's the good news. Where they are in terms of munitions after last night, I don't know. I don't know how much Iron Dome inventory they have left. I don't know the Arrow system, which is the medium range system, and the other weapons that they use. I don't know if they're Winchester or what, so, okay, sorry guys, I've got the Wi-Fi here, or the connectivity isn't awesome. Remember what we said last night, that the Iranians announced that was it, even as some of the weapons were still in flight. Okay, so what we've learned today is as soon as the Israelis found out that the initial wave of drones had been launched, the War Cabinet met. And the War Cabinet currently in the Netanyahu administration is sort of a team of rivals, to just use a Lincoln-esque analogy. So there's a far right wing, a couple of guys in the far right wing, in a relatively small War Cabinet. It's only 3 to 5 guys. So the right wingers, even as the weapons are in flight, were pushing Prime Minister Netanyahu to launch the counterstrike. And they said this would do 2 things. First, world opinion is with us at this moment. Each day, all of this fear of escalation kind of thing. So that was interesting. Now, as a result of that input, the 2 far right wing guys on the War Cabinet have been cut out of future meetings. So now the War Cabinet is 3. It is unknown at this time what Israel intends in terms of retaliatory efforts in the next few days. So it could take the form of an F-35 strike on their nuclear weapons facilities, not nuclear weapons, their nuclear program facilities that potentially uranium could be used in nuclear weapons. So that kind of thing, other counter regime, or it could be, sort of soft kill things with, cyber attacks, cyber strikes, this kind of thing. But the punditry is sort of saying they will do something. They won't just let it slide. It's not over. And then, of course, the question is, if they do something, then what are the Iranians going to do? The Biden administration has said, okay, we are not participating in any Iranian-facing strikes. So, Israel, if you're going to do that, you're on your own. Meanwhile, Iran has said that if America isn't cleanly out of it, then they will consider them in it, and they will be targets as well. We'll see what that means in terms of actual activity. Certainly, the U.S. Navy in the region is prepared to protect itself. It's also prepared, as we described, to execute praying mantis 2, let's call it. And for what that means, look at the episode I did with Brad Peniston last year, which in turn awarded Brad the Mooch for 2023. But that's a pretty amazing story of how one carrier strike group and all right, I keep cutting out. This is what I get for doing this in the sticks, I guess. So I'm kind of seeing the comments here. Yeah, it is I apologize for the connectivity issues. Again, I'm just experimenting with this functionality. I can see we had 1,000 plus folks. Now we have 867 folks, which is it's a good crowd. So let me see if I can look at some of the comments here. Again, thanks for joining me on this road trip, the first leg of the road trip. Again, for those who are just joining, I'm in the Mooch team vehicle, the 4Runner. Let me turn the camera around so you can see outside. So now you're riding with me. See, you can see the channel logo on the hood. So the story of this is a 4Runner that I'm in. It's one of the family cars. So when I was getting ready to do the air show at Oceana last summer, I had gone up Outdoorsy, which is kind of like Airbnb for RVs, and I found this really cool Airstream Atlas that I was going to rent for the week of the Oceana Air Show. And then I do a lot of work with Fast Signs. It's not a paid endorsement, but there's a Fast Signs outlet very close to where I live. And they did the booth that I have done. I've set up a couple of places, Hook and other places. Really cool setup. And I was talking to my point of contact there, Sarah, and asking, okay, look, I'm renting this Airstream Atlas. I gave her a picture of it. I did kind of a, I don't know, what would you call it, a prototype of what I think this design would look like. And she's like, yeah, we can do that. The same lettering I use for most of my thumbnails and the logo, which is the flag and the visor kind of thing. And so it was going to look really cool. This Airstream Atlas is a very cool RV. So we were actually going to live in it. Carrie was going to come down with me, and we were going to live in it for the duration of our time in Virginia Beach. And it would also be a good look on the flight line there at the air show. All right, 2 days before, I get the guy who owns the RV says you can't rent it. Like 2 days prior. I'm like, this is a problem because I'm under contract to do this air show. It was an in-kind deal, but I was on the official program and I wanted to do it. And I'd already paid for the wrap, is what you call it. Just like if you see a bus or a taxi cab, or a contractor with a vehicle that's wrapped in colors, that's how they do it. So the plan was, I'd rent the RV, take it to Fast Signs, they'd put the wrap on, go to the air show, come back, remove the wrap, and then I'd turn it back in. Right? And so, all right. So now the guy's like, sorry, you just can't. So gave me my money back. So I immediately called Fast Signs. And I talked to Sarah. I'm like, hey, here's a Audible. I'm just wondering if we can do it. Since I've already paid for the wrap, will that design fit on a Toyota 4Runner? And she was like, I don't know, let me call you back. And then she called back and said, yeah, we can make it work. We're gonna have to split it up where the logo, we're gonna have to put it on the hood instead of on the side. But we think we can make it work. So I didn't tell Mrs. Mooch that this is what we were doing. And so as I was on my way to get it put on, I informed Carrie, and she at first was like, no, you're not going to do that. And so I basically said, I'm a race car in the red, because this was starting to be kind of a stressful situation. And so she said, okay, fine. It looked very cool. And in fact, when we were done with the air show, and if you see some of the episodes that we did at the Oceana Air Show, and also I've put it in the community tab, what the vehicle looks like. Or if you look up if you go to my Instagram, YouTube, or Ward Carroll, you can see what it looks like as well. But it looks great. So we're on our way back from Virginia Beach after the air show, and Carrie's like, why don't we just leave it on? So we have, because I still have paid to have it unwrapped anytime that we want to take the design off. But it's kind of free publicity. When I'm driving around, people are like, in fact, we were on the New Jersey Turnpike a couple of months ago. A guy pulls up next to us and he's like, thumbs up, and he holds his phone up and mouths, I'm a subscriber. And so it's very, very cool when people do that kind of thing. And I've had a lot of people stop me like, what's Ward Carroll's YouTube channel? I'm like, well, it's my YouTube channel. What's it about? I mean, fair questions, right? So anyway, that's the vehicle I'm in. Again, let me show you. I'll show you my view here. Right, so there you can see the logo on the nose, on the hood. So there you go. All right, so I'm approaching, where am I? Gloucester. About to cross the, what is it, York River, right? Yorktown. Then I'll go to Newport News, Hampton Bay Bridge Tunnel, look over and see the aircraft carriers. So obviously, I think there's probably just one pier side now. Remember when I was there with Admiral Verissimo, there were 3. So obviously Truman's at sea right now. I believe GW is also at sea right now. So that leaves just Ford pier side. Let's talk about Truman for a little bit. So we're flying aboard tomorrow morning. Hoser is already in place. He flew up from Pensacola this morning. Small world. He ran into Dave Parsons. Hey Joe, Tomcat Rio's been on the channel a number of times. Good friend of ours. Hey Joe was on the same airplane, coming back from a Tomcat reunion that he went to this past weekend. And so I'll meet Hoser at NAS Norfolk, what's called LP1, which is the main tower there, where VIPs and other folks meet, whatever means of transportation they're using to get places. In our case, we're meeting a COD C2 Greyhound from VRC-40, the Rawhides, legendary squadron, and they'll give us our brief. We'll try to get some of this on tape and make it part of the episode. Thanks for the gas money. Appreciate it. In the super chat, you guys are great. So that'll be tomorrow morning. We should get aboard Truman midday. And as I mentioned last night, I've been in close coordination with Lieutenant Commander Courtney out there, and Callahan, and she has been asking all the right questions. So we're going to hit the ground running. And 3 basic focus areas. First, we want to get flight ops through the eyes of the folks who work on the flight deck. So it'll start with a basic explainer of what the different colored jerseys mean. And I want to profile a plane captain. I want to profile a yellow shirt, a taxi director. I want to profile a tractor driver, a blue shirt. And I want to profile a red shirt who works crash crew. So we'll do that and let those people tell their stories. And so as you see B-roll, this is kind of, imagine your mind's eye, I'm putting on my director's hat here, of how this episode's going to go. Imagine in your mind's eye that this person's explaining what his or her role is as you see them in action. So that's the first episode. It'll include B-roll of cat shots, both day and night, and traps, and so forth and so on. The second episode we're planning on sort of what's it like to be a member of the crew and live on an aircraft carrier. Fly Army. All right. Well, thanks for the super chat. I'm a big fan of Army aviation, as demonstrated a few months ago when I helped the Army National Guard get out of their grounding status by giving them a lecture up there in Connecticut, and flown around in a bunch of Army helicopters in Afghanistan. So I get it. I love it. So, second episode, we're going to be on the second deck talking to the CSs. So back in the day, they were MSs, right? Mess specialists. Now it's culinary specialists. So getting the magnitude, getting our arms around the magnitude of meal prep, and talking to the folks who make it happen about how they do it. You know, it's sort of an ongoing thing. Yes, there are meal times, but there's also grab and go, and there's different, the crew's always on the move. Turns out that Lieutenant Commander Callahan has said Monday night, tomorrow night, is game night. Now, I don't know if I mentioned on the live stream yesterday that there's a fun boss, like an air boss, except the fun boss. So the fun boss is a civilian who's aboard the carrier, kind of like Julie McCoy, cruise director, if you remember Love Boat. Maybe that's too old a reference for most folks. But so the fun boss is in charge of kind of like, you know, camp director of making fun things happen on a regular and persistent basis. So tomorrow night is board game night. So we'll capture some of that, talk to the fun boss about how do you keep it going, ask the sailors for their response and attitudes towards the existence of a fun boss. Do they dig it, or is it cringeworthy, or whatever? And then there's also a fit boss, a civilian, who runs the fitness center. So we'll take a look at that, how high-tech is the fitness center. Back in my day, we had a couple of universals and some free weights in the fantail. So I'm sure it's a lot high speed now, a lot more high speed. So we're going to do that. The third one is a work in progress, and I'm getting some pushback on just how available the aviators are going to be. So tomorrow's the first day of cyclic ops. They're doing CQ, fleet CQ carrier quals right now. So there's some concerns that these guys need to focus. So we will be able to just sort of be a fly on the wall and capture the unclassed part of briefs, get in the PR shop, follow them to man up, so forth and so on. Maybe we'll be able to go sidebar with some of them and capture some of that. So we'll put a pin in that one. The reason for this embark is to focus on the sailors. That was sort of the idea that I cooked up with Commander Stankus, the Airland PAO, some months ago, because with the exception of that very quick episode I did with Corey, one of the enlisted guys from VF-32 at the Oceana Air Show a few months ago, I haven't focused enough on the enlisted side of the house, and so we'll remedy that over the next couple of days. There'll be plenty of flying action, so don't worry about that. We're not going to miss that opportunity since we're going to sea, but you know, I want to focus on the folks who actually make it happen. We'll get inside the bubble and have some views through the bubble to cat shots. We'll be in the catwalks, and Hoser hopes to get out to the LSO platform since he was CAG paddles back in the early 90s when he and I served together on Ike. So not sure exactly which workup period this is for Truman. Understand, word of mouth, Truman is Eisenhower's relief. So as we reported with Brian McGrath a couple of days ago with our defense budget episode, Eisenhower's been extended, right? So that looks like July, August time frame. So here's Truman on one of the early workup periods, still have to do Comp 2X. Understand they're going down to Miami for Fleet Week Miami in May, I think, is when that's happening. So that's always a good deal. I've done Fleet Week Fort Lauderdale a few times on a number of different ships: Kennedy, Eisenhower, GW. That is one of the best Fleet Weeks. There's no such thing as a bad Fleet Week. I'm a veteran of Fort Lauderdale Fleet Week, New York Fleet Week, and San Francisco Fleet Week. Always a good time. The citizens of those cities roll out the red carpet. It makes you feel very much appreciated and loved by people who don't have a whole lot of military in their midst. So anyway, Truman's going to get to do that in May. So I don't know if that's the same at sea period or they come home and then go back. I'll find out. But this will be the first time I've been aboard an aircraft carrier. I've been on some amphibs and other things since then when I was working V-22. Since I was CAG Ops, so since '98 when I was aboard GW. So very much looking forward to getting back. And we'll get a trap and a cat shot on the cod. This is going to be awesome. We'll hit the ground running, and we'll see how we can keep you guys posted along the way. I don't know if it would be cool if I could do like one of these live streams while we're out there. But we'll have to see, right? So I'm about to cross which bridge is this? This is the bridge over I believe it's the York River, right? Hold on, and I'll read. Oh, the Coleman Bridge. Right, I'm about to cross the Coleman Bridge. As I look that way is the Yorktown weapons station, where the small boys drive up the river and get armed up for deployment. In fact, let me see if I can, once I get on the bridge here, if I can point the phone that way. So I'm getting close. You can see the pier. Let me flip the phone around. I don't know if you guys can see it. If you see the pier down there, that's where ships pull into and get armed up. You can see the pier is really long too, because in the event there was an inadvertent explosion, you don't want to take out the entire station. So yeah, crossing the river here, and then the last body of water that I'll cross is the James River, which feeds into Chesapeake Bay, where the Naval Station Norfolk is. So staying just outside Gate 1 there. Want to be within striking distance tomorrow morning, and get ready to do it up. It'll be a endurance test, which is fine. And I'll look forward to doing another one of these since this appears to be working. And again, thank you guys for showing up. This is kind of fun. You're my co-pilots. All 892 of you. So, Kevin, thanks for the super chat. I can see the big super chats. Kitty Hawk guy. So you were there, they said 88 to 92, okay. You weren't there with Pirate Barbary. Pirate Barbary was the CO for a short time. He was my skipper in VF-102, a great American. Kitty Hawk's a great ship. So thanks for your service. Let me see if I can read any of these others. What we think about, okay, I'm not going to read that one. All right, you guys chat amongst yourselves. All right, so that's what it is from here. I just wanted to sort of do an update to the update about the Israel-Iran brush fire / percolating conflict. Again, hopes that it doesn't escalate, because that isn't good for anybody. the path to peace is pretty far away, as we talked about last night. The priorities of Hamas hostages have been, sent down the list a couple as a function of this particular immediate situation, which is not good. Certainly the families of the hostages can't be happy with this development. As I described last night, if your mission is to eliminate Hamas's military capability, what happened in Damascus didn't further that mission. And that's not even an opinion anymore. So now we're like, okay, this is what Biden, I'm sure, and Jake Sullivan and the gang are all saying to their counterparts in Israel, like, look, you won. This is amazing. Look at your capability. Look at your technology. Look at the fact that you can face your citizens and say nobody got killed, no major damage of property. We did it. This is the Israeli resilience. This is what we're made of. Okay, no need to risk further escalation by retaliating, right? That's what the Biden administration is saying to their Israeli counterparts. Now, do the Israelis buy that? We don't know. We don't know. So we will be watching. As I mentioned, my ability to watch in real time over the next 48 hours is going to be limited, but we'll play that by ear. My focus is capturing the crew and the air wing, crew of Truman and CAG-1 in action, and I will focus entirely on that. And then once we get back ashore we're planning it being Tuesday, again, COD schedules. It's not like showing up at the airport. These things they fluctuate, priorities change, things happen. So we're prepared to stay longer than we're scheduled to, which is fine. If you had told me this, 25 years ago, that I'd be cool with spending extra time on the boat, I would have said, how does that work? But now, as the old guy looking back fondly on those days, I'm very excited at the potential of spending an extra day aboard the boat. So we'll see. But I am very grateful to the Navy for this opportunity. This is a testament to the channel's reputation in terms of trust. We're not carrying the U.S. Navy's water, as you guys know, where we do criticize things at times. You can see the defense budget episode for an example of that. So, but I think the fact that the public affairs mechanism and the principles like Admiral Verissimo, Air Boss, Ship Boss, sort of feel like they'll get an honest look going by me is what I want for this channel. I'm a hybrid, right? I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been a naval officer, I've been a government spokesman for the V-22 program, and I've been a digital news guy for years and years, and now I'm a YouTuber. And the fact that our humble little channel is invited to go aboard one of our ships of the line, a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, is just amazing to me. So I thank you guys for your support in making those kinds of things happen. I will always honor that support with the best possible coverage, the most objective points of view when we're doing current events, trying to just sort of report facts, keep my opinions out of it insofar as I'm capable, and let you decide. What I see in comments and in people's attitudes when I get to meet folks in person is, we have thoughtful folks who are subscribers, and people who want to get it right, and people who want to explore points of view. And that's rare in the current, certainly the mainstream, the broadcast media environment where we're all, and social media, right, where we're all kind of stovepiped. And I won't get into a discussion about algorithms and how that bias is, enabled. But this channel and those who've been around for a while, I think, understand this, is not political. I just want to get it right. I am unashamedly pro-American. I'm pro-military. I'm very proud of what I was able to do in the Navy. And I'm very humbled by the fact I get to be shoulder to shoulder with, in this case, our sailors in this way. Just like when we went aboard Ford Pierside. Carrie and I were walking, we were like, it's just so motivating to sort of tap into the aura, the energy of the folks out there doing it. All ranks, all rates, all warfare specialties these days. So I look forward to relaying those impressions to you guys after this is all over and said and done. No, I'm not in Florida. I'm in Virginia. I'm approaching Newport News, Route 64. Currently, where am I exactly? I'm on the George Washington Memorial Highway, just crossed the York River, and headed towards Norfolk. So I'll just hang my hat for a few hours, get myself something unhealthy to eat for dinner, and then get up early and meet Hoser and the VRC-40 COD crew and get ready to fly out to the USS Harry S. Truman at sea at an undisclosed location. They just finished CQ, carrier qual, so I don't think they'll be terribly far away. I don't know if they're in Vacapes or Cherry Point Op area or what, but they're just off the coast doing workups. I remember it well. This is the part of the interdeployment training cycle that starts to get old, because you're at sea 6 weeks, you're home 3 weeks, you're at sea 2 weeks, you're home for a week, you're at sea for 10 days, and the wife is just like, just go. So when you actually get underway and the countdown clock starts, it's almost a relief. So workups are, and plus it's like spring training, where you're doing a lot of damage control drills, you're doing a lot of different training operations, a lot of, surge ops, see how far you can push the crew till things start to get dangerous, and then, okay, got it, boom. And so it's really a lot of work. So again, I'm going to stay out of the way while we capture these things, and we'll just see what everybody's temperature is. Remember, the last Truman cruise was a long one, and when they relieve Ike late summer, Ike will have been on cruise for a long time, and the prognosis or the potential for Truman to have a long cruise is the same, right? This is a function of having the number of aircraft carriers we have currently. So, all right, guys, thank you for joining me on this experiment here. I don't even know what form this takes once I hang up, right? If this is actually an episode or if this is just a live stream that disappears. But thank you for the super chat. You guys are awesome with the support. If you're not a subscriber, please become one, because that's how you get the notifications. Make sure you select notifications on. And when I do these things on a whim, you will know about it. And stay tuned. A lot of cool stuff coming up this week, particularly. And a lot of, obviously, current events that we got to keep on top of the cool stuff that we're doing at sea. All right. Thank you, everybody. And I look forward to talking to you again very soon. See you later.